Welcome to a special series of the podcast. Over the next 8 weeks, we're moving past guesswork and driving straight into the data. We recently conducted a massive national study to help dealerships better understand what vehicle owners actually want when it comes to service and maintenance. This isn't our first time asking these questions. We've conducted the same study in 2020 and 2023, and now with our 2025 data, we have a unique comparative look at how driver behavior is shifting. We collected deep, specific feedback from 1,277 drivers across the country. These are active service customers, drivers who recently had DriveSure benefits activated for their specific make and model at a dealership service department. All survey answers were shared anonymously in an aggregate report. This gave our participants the confidence to be real with us. They told us why they stay, why they defect, and exactly how service visits could be better. Today, we're kicking off phase one, the authority spike. We're laying out the high-level findings of this report, including the big three factors that decide where a customer takes their car in 2026, and why the price gap between today and 2023 is changing the game for your service drive. If you've ever wondered what your customers are saying when they leave your shop, this is the episode where we finally let you listen in. Let's start with the comparative standpoint and talking about what's changed between 2023 and 2026. We first did this report in 2020, repeated it again in 2023, and now here we are 3 years later repeating it again. So that allows us to see the actual path that the American driver is on and not just a single moment in time. One of the big things that we saw was an evolution in the role of price and the role it plays in retention for new car dealers. A major goal of the 2026 report was specifically investigating why price has become a much bigger deal now than it was just 3 years ago. And note that these survey results came in the fourth quarter of 2025. So this was at a time when inflation was in place, especially for vehicle maintenance. But as we record this podcast in April of 2026, we're in the middle of a war with Iran. Oil prices are spiking, gasoline prices are spiking. It's reasonable to expect that inflationary pressures will continue on. So getting a handle on how we present price, present value to our customers is a big deal for dealerships going forward. The other question is this temporary or is this permanent? And I think that the fact that we've got 1,200 plus responses to help benchmark this and help dealers figure out what customer behaviors are here to stay and which are just temporary ones are important. I'll give you an example of that. Back in our 2023 report, we identified a big change from 2020 that customers being able to schedule service appointments within a reasonable period of time was a defection risk, meaning that if a customer could schedule it within a reasonable period of time, that's what they expected. But if it was a long period of time, that could cause them to go elsewhere. That constraint has tempered somewhat in what we can see in the numbers from 2026, which is good news. But there are other newer factors coming into play, such as pricing. The other big thing about this report is that we aren't just guessing about the issues. We aren't just guessing about appointment availability or price sensitivity. We're actually seeing in the numbers, in the numbers in this report, and we're seeing them climb year after year in the data. So it's definitely a big deal with respect to price, and it is something that's going to be here for some time, especially in the inflationary environment that we are in. So let's transition now from kind of the history of what we've seen on the last three reports to this price gap where we are right now. While our 2020 and 2023 studies gave us a great baseline, the 2026 data shows that the rules of engagement have officially changed. We've tracked these trends for 6 years now, but this latest report highlights a significant pivot in consumer priorities. Specifically, we're seeing the price isn't just a factor anymore, it is the factor that has shifted most aggressively since our last look. In 2023, you might have won on brand loyalty alone, but in 2026, the data shows the price matters more than it ever has before. Let's look at the numbers behind why the price gap is widening and what that means for your service drive today. I think that there's three takeaways from this: trust, perceived value, and this price barrier. So let's talk about trust first. In 2023, things like trust and expertise were the big winners. But in 2026, price has moved from a side consideration to a primary reason people leave. And I think what we have seen, and this is talked about in the report as well, is that trust can actually be driven higher today than ever before in the past. And one of the big things behind that is the effective utilization of video inspection technology. We have found in the results of the report that customers are responding to video inspections very positively. It's leading to higher repair order amounts, and it is driving a higher level of trust between the customer and the dealership. So I think although price has moved beyond trust and expertise as one of the primary reasons that people leave, I think there's more tools out there than ever before for dealerships to really improve their level of trust and communicate better with customers about why they're recommending what they recommend. So I think one of the key takeaways here to drive trust is video inspections. Number two is perceived value. It's not just about the raw dollar amount anymore that it's going to cost me to have my car repaired or maintained on this visit. It's actually inflation fatigue. Drivers are scrutinizing their repair orders much harder than they did 3 years ago because those prices are going up. And that's just a fact. What we see the most successful dealers doing in this situation is focusing on value. Price is only an issue in the absence of value. And if you can help the customer understand the value that you're delivering for them, then price becomes less important to them, or they understand the reason why you're charging what you charge on the repair order. And customers go away much more satisfied if they understand the overall value that you're providing. If the price isn't transparent, this price barrier issue, if the price isn't transparent or competitive right from the start, our respondents in the report told us that they won't even stick around to see how good your technicians are. So making sure that customers understand what the prices are and exactly what value you're delivering for them right from the start is absolutely essential to making sure you retain your customers visit after visit. If you want to see the year-over-year breakdown of these pricing trends, you can find the full analysis in the national report available at DriveSure.com/resources. Now that we've established that the 2026 driver is a different breed than the one we surveyed in 2020 or even 2023, we have to talk about strategy. Data is just a history lesson unless you use it to change your future. In the second half of today's show, we're going to give you 3 tactical ways to address the price gap and how to use the big 3 decision factors to win in today's market. So let's talk about transparency first. First, don't wait for them to ask for the price. Use your digital marketing tools to show menu pricing whenever it's available and provide estimates before they even show up. And then when you provide that customer with recommended work, couple that up with digital tools and video inspection technology so that customers have more confidence in the fact that the recommended work that you're providing is needed and that they understand what's to be done and they understand that the value that they're getting for the price that you're quoting. Secondly, check your calendar. And by that, I mean scheduling service is absolutely essential, and making sure that that is a smooth process, not only for your customer, your external constituent, but also for your internal constituents, your service advisors and service and technicians. You may have the best price in town, but if you're booked out for 2 weeks, you're going to lose that customer because the 2026 driver values time as much as they do money. But also scheduling smartly, scheduling by capacity, technician capacity, rather than just car count, is also a way in which you can satisfy your external customers as well as your internal customers, meaning your service advisors and your technicians, to make sure that they are being that the work is smoothed out throughout the day. Finally, market the value that you're providing to your customers. Remind customers that quote unquote dealership doesn't automatically mean quote unquote expensive, and remind them of the benefits of a dealership. Incorporating DriveSure into your oil changes and or scheduled maintenance services is a great way to add value to your dealership services, and it's a great way to make sure that customers return for their next service on time. We're fond of saying that service maintenance is where retention is built, tires and towing is where retention is tested. And DriveSure helps you own both of those moments. It's designed to protect retention between service visits. So this wraps up our first look at the 1,277 voices that shape this study. We've seen that the 2026 driver is more price sensitive and time starved than ever before. But we've only scratched the surface of this national report. If you want to see the full data set, including the specific charts on generational differences and the revenue opportunities you might be missing, the complete 2026 service retention report is available for download right now at drivesure.com/resources. Make sure to join us next week as we dive into the anatomy of defection. We're going to look at the specific, often surprising reasons customers walk away from your service department, and more importantly, how you can stop the leak. We'll be discussing the data behind what we call the hidden defection trigger. You won't want to miss it. Download the report today at drivesure.com/resources, and we'll see you next week.